You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the court. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, still listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches, won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live, all 3 speakers go.
And what is going on, Man Hour Nation? It's your boy BC Brandon Combs, or as some like to call me, Beastie Brandon Combs. But we have a great show lined up for you guys. Buck is not here with us tonight. He had to take care of his fatherly duties. We were having some fun with him before the show. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but we also have week 1 in the NFL. It's been a crazy week 1 in the NFL. I'm going to invite my man Tori on here in just a moment. Before we do that, make sure you're clicking that like button. Make sure you click the subscribe, share, do all that other good stuff. Get all your friends in here. Let's hype up this chat. I do have to say one thing before we get Tori on here. I said that the Cleveland Browns were going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And I said the Denver Broncos were going to lose to the New York Giants. And a coworker of mine, friend of mine, Liz, said that wasn't going to happen. I told her if it happened, she'd have to apologize to me on the show. She said, when it doesn't happen, I'll have to tell everybody that she's always right. So, Liz, you are always right, except when you're wrong. All right. So let's bring Tori on the show. Tori, what's going on, brother?
It's the most wonderful day. Well, see, I love this day. Love this day. Is there anything better than the opening kickoff weekend of NFL football?
No, there's really not. I mean, how did week 1 work out for you?
Pretty good actually, because I won for fantasy.
Oh, okay.
I should say I've won. I'm in the lead with a pretty good prospect of me probably winning this week. So,
How did the Green Bay Packers do? I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen this.
They played this weekend. I know that.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
they definitely did that.
I at this point I'm going to use the term they played this weekend loosely. They showed up, and that was about it. So I've determined that they've patched things up with Aaron.
Yeah. And
everything's going to go smooth, and they are going for the number 1 pick in the NFL draft next year. They are going for completely defeated. They are going for 0-17 because Aaron did not look good. He's already thrown 40% of the touchdowns he threw last year, or interceptions he threw last year.
Yeah. And I mean, did you really think that after this matchup that if we were talking about a quarterback that was going to throw for 5 touchdowns and no interceptions, and another quarterback that was going to have a bad day and throw a couple of picks, would you have thought that was Aaron Rodgers that was going to be throwing the picks and it was Jameis Winston that was going to throw for 5 touchdowns?
Not in a million years.
That's funny because you know who did think that? Who thought that, Tori?
Sean Payton.
That's your boy.
I've been saying it thought that
for 4 years now that Jameis Winston just needed to get out of Tampa Bay.
You're
Jameis
also
Winston
a
is a top 10 quarterback.
You're also a Bears fan, so we just chalk it up to mental illness.
Bear fan or not, you got waxed today by the guy who I said is a top 10 quarterback in this league, and he showed it today.
A light can shine on a dog's ass every once in a while.
Get over here to the chat. Liz chimes in. She says, "Thank you, Beastie Combs." So did you hear the story about that, by the way?
I did not.
Tori. So you know how Buck always introduces me and always says, "Hey, BC Brandon Combs," and brings me onto the show. Well, she messages me at work, and we have a Skype thing between the offices. So she's out in Milwaukee, I'm in Chicago, and she goes, "Hey, what's up with your radio nickname?" I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, Beastie. I said, what are you talking about? And she's like, you know, when they bring you on the show, they say Beastie Brandon Combs. I'm like, you mean BC? She's my initials. And she's like, oh. I was like, yeah, you're not living this one down. We're going to bring this one forever. So now my new nickname is Beastie. We are going to get some merchandise ready with the Beastie logo. Dawn Reed here. Thanks for chiming in, Dawn. She says, but did they really play? Talking about the Packers.
I'm going to go with Beefy. We're going to call you Beefy instead.
That might be a little bit more accurate. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, that's me right now. Like, I'm felt all good. Went to the doctor last week. I'm like, I've been exercising. They're like, yeah, you're 234 pounds. I'm like, what? That's 7 pounds more than I was in July.
It's true. It's true. So let me ask you a question. We've got the week 1 and everything, and we're talking about, you know, right here in the first segment, is this the best time of the year? Is, you know, opening weekend of the NFL the best time of the year? And I'm not so sure it's the best time of the year, just because, you know, we feel that way. I remember us saying the same thing when it was opening day, right? Like we had the same thing for Major League Baseball opening day. And then hockey's going to be starting soon. And I'm going to be pumped up about hockey starting soon. So I think we get this, you know, because we missed it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I missed the NFL. I missed watching football. I missed everything about it. And week 1 hasn't disappointed at all. I mean, I've been watching football since noon Chicago time, and I'm still watching it in the background here. Like, and it's not going to stop until 11 o'clock tonight. So I think it's a great time of year. I mean, baseball playoffs are ramping up. We had some good series this weekend with some baseball stuff. We had the Mets and Yankees on the September 11th, you know, anniversary. We had the Red Sox and White Sox in a battle this weekend, which was really fun to watch. Another walk-off win for the White Sox today. You know, the baseball is really starting to heat up. Football's back. Hockey's getting ready to start. It really is a great time of year. But is that just because football's back? Or is it because of everything I just mentioned?
I think it's because of everything, plus football. Plus, it's not 9 million degrees outside, and it's fall weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, honestly, if you ask me about the beginning of October, because at that point, you do have hockey ramping up, you have basketball ramping up, you have football going on, and you have baseball playoffs going on.
Yeah. And look, hockey, for me, baseball is always going to be my favorite sport. I love the game. I'm so passionate about the game. For me, hockey is actually my second favorite sport, and football is behind hockey. Like, if you ask me which one I would rather watch, I'll say baseball, then I'll say hockey, then I'll say football. Obviously, for me, the trifecta is to be able to watch all three in the same day. I'd be fine with that too. But it's one of those things. So for me, I just feel like football, it brings something together. It really does. I mean, watching the fans back in the stands. I mean, I said it last week with college football coming back. The fans in the stands, man, just make this game so much better. After losing them last year with COVID and having to watch the games in empty stadiums, it was really tough to watch. But watching them now with the fans back, it's so much fun.
Well, I don't know. We had to play a game in Jacksonville, and it looked like they were so spaced out.
Yeah,
like, it didn't look like there was anybody there. Like, there's 40,000 people here. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. So it was a lot of fun to watch. A lot of crazy stuff. We're gonna get to a lot of that crazy stuff. We've got the Sunday night football game, Bears and Rams, starting tonight. We're gonna get into that in just a moment. We are gonna take our first break. We will be right back. Give us 2 minutes. And we are back, Man Hour Nation. Don't forget, you do have a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas during the NFL Draft with your boys here from Man Hour. All you have to do is be a $5.99 a month or higher member. Make sure you comment, like, and share. You will earn points every single week for every comment, every like, every share. The top 5 point getters of the week will be given. Excuse me. Wow, I can't read for nothing right now. Will be given an extra shot in the drawing, which will be drawn on Super Bowl Sunday. So let me bring my boy Tori back. Tori, are you excited about Vegas? You're a gambling man, right? You like to gamble.
I am a gambling man. I am loving the fact that we are going to Vegas.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be it's actually my dream vacation. I can't wait. I just want to go play poker for a couple of hours, to be honest with you. So
I'm just cocaine hookers and whatever happens.
And demonetized. All right. So we've got the Sunday Night Football. It's starting. I'm watching the intro right now. And gosh, Carrie Underwood always looks so dang good.
I don't know who that is.
Oh God, you're missing out. Anyway, the Bears and Rams tonight. Tori, let's make it simple. Let's go. We'll give the X factors after. Who you got before this game starts?
Rams.
Yeah.
Rams.
Look, I want to pick the Bears. I really do. I never hope that the Bears don't succeed, even if it's Andy Dalton at quarterback. I would love to see them go 17-0 and win a Super Bowl. I never want the Bears to do poorly. That being said, Rams. And it's not going to be close. This is not going to be a fun night for Bears fans. It's not going to be fun to watch. This Rams defense is going to wreak havoc. They are going to probably kill Andy Dalton. He's not going to get his revenge game next week in Cincinnati because he's going to be laying on a stretcher. And the Rams are going to win this one big. So let me ask you this. Who do the Bears need to be the X factor tonight to even have a shot to pull off this upset?
I'm going to go with a group effort. They need their entire secondary to play pretty much a flawless game. That's the part of their defense that took the biggest hit in the offseason. They got rid of Fuller. It's the biggest question mark that they have going into the season. The Bears have one of the better front sevens in all of football. Mm-hmm. However, that back end is going to be where it's at, and they're going to live and die by that. With that being the case, I think the Rams are going to bear down, and it's going to turn bad for the Bears.
Look, as much as I like your Ram impression there, I think that it's got to be Andy Dalton, right? I mean, it's got to be Andy Dalton. In order for the Bears to compete in LA, the Andy Dalton, I guess we'll make it a collaborative effort. The Andy Dalton and the offensive line, they have to play well. The Andy Dalton has to be what the Bears are saying publicly that they think that he is, which we all know publicly that he's not. But that's what they need. That's what they need to be able to win this game. Who's your X factor for the Rams?
I'm going to go with Darrell Henderson because when they lost Cam Akers, it kind of got thrown into a little disheveled there. It's a big word for me on a Sunday. My head hurts now. I need to go lay down.
I won't ask you to spell it. Don't worry.
I can spell it. That's easy.
Okay.
Do you want me to spell it?
No. Just go ahead. Go ahead with your thought.
Well, they made the trade for Sony Michel, who, apparently hurts himself cutting his toenails or something. The guy's always hurt. But I think it's Darrell Henderson to see what they have as a replacement for Cam Akers, since obviously Cam Akers is not coming back this year. Yeah. And I think it's for them because it's going to be a good way to set the tone, set that run game up. So I think for the Rams, it's him.
Yeah, for me, it's really Matt Stafford. They need to get Matt Stafford off and going. They need to get him, to where he really was. And I believe he was with the Lions. I think that, for a long time, Matt Stafford probably could have been ranked up there with a guy like Aaron Rodgers in this division. He just didn't have the pieces around him to succeed like Aaron Rodgers succeeded. And now he does. And so I'm looking for Matt Stafford to have a big game. I'm looking for Matt Stafford to have a big year. So for me, it's got to be Matt Stafford tonight. They've got to have a heavy dose. He's got to have a good game, because if he looks bad, which we saw Jared Goff look really, really bad today, if he looks bad in LA, that's going to be worse for him than it is going to be for Goff in Detroit.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't see it. It's Stafford's probably, if anything, I think Stafford's not going to know what to do. He might get a little gun shy because he has so much time to throw the ball. He'd be like, wait, normally I get hit by now.
Yeah. Is there a more underrated quarterback in the NFL than Matt Stafford?
Ooh. Probably not right now. He is probably the most underrated quarterback. He's the most, I would say. No.
Sorry, I sneezed a little bit there. My bad.
No. Stafford, hands up, because there again, he got stuck in Detroit on, I don't want to say some necessarily bad teams, but when Jim Caldwell was there, they were a halfway decent team, and they fired him because, I don't know, he had winning records. I don't know why he got fired. He wasn't progressed. They weren't progressing to the point that they thought they should be with Stafford, I'm guessing, at that point. But they also, it was kind of like a Marvin
Lewis. They didn't
Lewis.
build around him. They didn't.
No, I agree. You're not going to hear me an argument on it.
And they ran Megatron into the ground so much that he just wanted to retire instead of play with them anymore.
Right. So, I don't know. We'll see. I like Stafford. I think Stafford's a very, very good quarterback. I think, if anything, you say Jameis could be a top 10. I think Stafford's a top 10 quarterback this year with that Rams offense, just because of the weapons he has in that offense.
Oh, I agree. I think that Jameis Winston was a top 10 quarterback prior to that. I also think that Matt Stafford was a top 10 quarterback in this league prior to that. I think Matt Stafford is probably a top 5 quarterback in this league. I really do. I've been a big believer in Matt Stafford for a long time. I mean, if you ran down the list, maybe not top 5. Now that
I was going to say,
I'm starting to think of the names popping in my head, but he's up there. Like, I mean, if
I was going to say top 10, I'll give you. Top 5, no.
You're gonna go Brady, Mahomes, obviously. Those are going to be your 1 and 2, and then you're going to go Aaron Rodgers at 3.
Yep.
Okay. Who's your 4?
Russell
Wilson. And who's your 5?
When he's playing, Deshaun.
All right, so you're going to argue with me, and I'll give you Deshaun. I think Deshaun's at 4. You would argue with me that Matt Stafford, given the talent around him that Russell Wilson has had as well, wouldn't be in the same position? Like, you're telling me that I can't interchange Matt Stafford with Russell Wilson? The guy who we have all said has a great first 7 weeks and then just disappears. You're going to tell me that Matt Stafford isn't interchangeable on that list?
Yes.
I think he is. I think he really is. And not to mention, I think he's tougher than any of those guys that we just mentioned. They're talking about a guy who went out and had a herniated disc in his back and went out and then he separated his shoulder, went out and threw a game-winning touchdown pass with a separated shoulder. Man, back up.
Non-throwing shoulder.
It was still a separated. Look, I'm telling you right now, Tori, what I want you to do, go ram your shoulder right now as hard as you can into your door frame.
Oh, Brandon, I can reach
your shoulder.
I can reach for a coffee cup when that happens.
So separate your shoulder.
That's a daily occurrence for me.
And do this show. It's a non-throwing shoulder. You should be fine.
I agree. It's like a Charlie horse.
It hurts like hell.
It does hurt like hell, but it's like a Charlie. It's just a really bad Charlie horse is all it feels like to me, anyways.
I don't ever want to
literally. My shoulders are so bad. Like, that's why I had to have shoulder surgery the first time. I would literally reach for a coffee cup and it would just fall out of place.
The Rams have Bruce Buffer right now.
Who?
For the millions in attendance.
Oh,
let's get ready
to rumble, guy.
Yeah. Oh God. All right.
Okay, we're doing a show here. I can't be turning around.
Yeah,
I can't be doing that.
We are going to get
demonetized.
To some week 1 NFL games that we watched this week. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to start breaking down those games. So stay with us. Enjoy the kickoff of the Rams-Bears games. We'll be right back. And we are back as I'm watching my boys drive the ball down the field. And just in the time that we were on break, what is going on right now? I don't even know what is going on.
How did they
booing when Andy Dalton took the field. I was.
How did they just not throw a flag on that?
Yeah. And now we got our boy Justin Fields comes in. They run a play with Justin Fields, almost throws a touchdown pass. Oh man, maybe this was maybe it was a joke. Maybe they're like, all right, Dalton, you're gonna get 3 plays tonight, and then Fields, you're coming in, baby. No, that's probably not happening. He's already out of the game. But anyway, we had a lot of stuff go on in week 1, so let's get down to it. One of the things that we saw happen, and I did not see coming at all, because I have them having a very down year, is the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Buffalo Bills. And a game where I'm not really sure that the Buffalo Bills didn't beat themselves. So let me ask you, did we count out Pittsburgh too early, or was this just a week 1 aberration?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. It's
hey, you wrote
I don't know. I know. And I don't know what I think Pittsburgh showed us last year who they really are towards the end of the year and into the playoffs. And I think this is like this is what you're going to get from the Steelers. A game like this against a top tier AFC opponent, and they're going to go out and play like somebody like Houston or Jacksonville and lose. Because I'm like, meh. And that's what it's going to be from them all year. We're like, they're not going to have an identity. Like, I don't know what other shows have done. I think we all were kind of on the same page where we're like, they're getting old. They're kind of washed up. Big Ben looks like he's just out there waiting to get the game done so he can go chug another beer. I would say, I don't think this is an aberration. This is not what's going to be what we're going to get from the Steelers week in and week out. You're going to get an up and down Steelers team all year.
Yeah, I completely 100% agree with you. This was one of them games that I just didn't see them winning. The Buffalo Bills, to me, are a top level team in the AFC as Andy Dalton throws his first pick of the season. They are a top tier team in the AFC. I believe that the Steelers are closer to the team that we saw at the end of the year last year than they are to the team that we saw through the first 12 weeks of last year. So
absolutely.
I just think that this was a product of week 1. Plus, I also think it was a product of the Buffalo Bills. They came out flat. They did not look good whatsoever. And I'm not going to take all the credit away from Pittsburgh's defense, because they held them down for sure. But Buffalo's defense held down Pittsburgh's offense too. It was all the way up until they had that blocked punt that this was Buffalo's game still. So I don't feel like Pittsburgh did anything to win this game as much as I feel like Buffalo did more to lose this game.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that one. Pittsburgh to me is still a 5-12 team. You change your opinion on them?
I don't think they're that bad. They're more of an 8-9 or a 9-8 team. To me, they're more around average. They're not a terrible team. They're just getting old in the wrong spots is probably the best way to put it. They have some great young talent. Like their receivers, Pittsburgh, for whatever reason, just consistently finds phenomenal wide receiver talent. Like they will draft somebody, let them go, and they just plug and play like the next guy. Like it is ridiculous how they do that over and over and over. And they've been doing it for 20 years. But like Big Ben's getting older. Although I was pretty impressed when he took off running on that one scramble today. He got like 12 yards on like a second and 15.
That's the thing about Big Ben too. He could take off, and you're never really going to see him get murdered because he's so damn big.
Right.
Like he's not like most of those. He's not a mobile quarterback who normally you want to go up and just try to throw your body at, because he is massive.
He's like, I want to say he's like one of us playing football with our friends. You get enough steam behind it, nobody's going to want to get in front of it because we're too fat to stop.
Yeah. It's true.
It's just a bowling ball at that point.
Absolutely. Speaking of bowling balls, team that's always a wreck, like a gutter ball, is the New York Jets. Zach Wilson, who you have not been high on since they drafted him. I have been high on since they drafted him. I think he's going to be the best quarterback out of this draft class. I think he's going to have the best career out of this draft class. He had a really, really bad first half. Came around more in the second half, but the Jets drop a game huge to the Texans.
No, to the Panthers.
To the Panthers. And you look at Sam Darnold getting his revenge on the Jets. What do you make of this one?
I make that the Jets are a young team. They're the youngest team in the NFL. They have a lot of new players. They have a lot of work to do. They're not going to win many ball games this year. They're not going to be a very good team. But it's not because they lack talent. It's because they're young. They are very, very young. I think once they get a quarterback, other than Zach Wilson, they'll probably be just fine.
Stop. What was Zach Wilson?
I don't know. What is he like? 1 for 14 in the first half or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think he finished 26 for 51 or something too. It wasn't good. 28 of 51, something in that ballpark.
Yeah. So there again, that's why the preseason is the preseason. Everyone's like, "Oh, this guy," no. And I've called him trash since. I think the New York market is a tough market to play in. It just is. It always has been. It always will be. And it takes a special kind of athlete to play in that market. And I don't think he has what it takes to play in that market. I don't think he has what it takes to be a consistent winner as an NFL quarterback. That being said, I do think that if they get a quarterback in there that they knows what they're doing, this is a very good young roster that's just not going to be very good this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm back here laughing as I watch Matt Stafford throw a bomb downfield. 3 Bears defenders are in the vicinity. The Rams wide receiver falls down, is able to get back up while 3 Bears defenders are looking at him and runs it into the end zone.
I'm glad the TV's behind me.
Oh my God. But at any rate, I just Von Jefferson, blah. All right. So let's get back into it. We talked about him a little bit earlier when we were talking about underrated, or we're talking about our top 5 quarterback list, top 10 quarterback list. Russell did what Russell does early in the season. And the Seahawks, they surprised me today. I didn't think they were going to handle Indianapolis like they did. I still think Indianapolis is a top tier team in the AFC. I'm not sold on Carson Wentz. That is the one, the one if for me and that's a big if for the Indianapolis Colts. But the Seahawks went and took care of business today. Are they for real?
Absolutely, they're for real. They're, again, loaded with talent. They've rebuilt the defense that struggled for the last 2 or 3 years. Like, they went from the Legion of Boom to the Legion of Doom because they were doomed to lose games because of that defense. Yeah. They finally have started rebuilding it. They've got some pretty good pieces in place now. They played well against Indianapolis. They played well against a very good team. I just think that poor AFC South, 9 or 10 wins, is going to win that division, and flip a coin whether it's going to be Indianapolis or Tennessee at this point. I don't know. There was another team from the AFC South that looked pretty good today, and we'll talk about them in a little bit.
Oh God, you're not.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just I am not a Carson Wentz fan. I never have been. It's like I said, he had a great 13-game run. Yeah. And he looked like an MVP of the league, and then he got hurt. Yeah. And he has not been the same quarterback since. I don't buy into he's a good quarterback. I think part of it is it shattered him mentally when he got hurt, and then he got hurt again the next year. There is something that those injuries will wear on you psychologically. There's a reason Andrew Luck stepped away from the Colts at 28.
Yeah, I think that the Seahawks are still what they were last year. I think that they're a team that's going to win enough games to get them into the playoffs, but don't really scare you come playoff time. For whatever reason, Russell Wilson's just one of those quarterbacks that seems to tend to, more often than not always, because the guy's been to Super Bowls, the guy's won a Super Bowl, so more often than not, he just finds a way to disappear in the second half of seasons. And he goes from being an MVP candidate to just being an afterthought. And I still think that's who he is. I mean, at this point in his career, that's part of who he is. So when it comes to the Colts, I still think they're the best team in the AFC South. I'm very worried about their quarterback situation. I really am. Carson Wentz, even if he does return to form, is still, he's a ticking time bomb. Injury-wise, the guy's always hurt. And then you look at their backups in Jacob Eason. I'm not a believer. I would really love to see this team go out and get a guy in Deshaun Watson. I really would. I would. It would just make so much sense for the Indianapolis Colts to trade, Carson Wentz for, plus a couple of picks for Deshaun Watson. It just makes so much sense.
But it'd be interdivision, and so that therefore it's not going to happen. Otherwise, the price tag is going to go way up.
If there's one organization that would do something stupid like trade a franchise quarterback into the division, it would be the Houston Texans.
This is also true, except Bill O'Brien's not there anymore. I don't have my Bill O'Brien magic 8 ball.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. This could have been another one of those.
Bill O'Brien be like, "You got me one of them there pork fritter sandwiches."
Yeah,
I'll give you Deshaun for 3 of those.
Yeah, it could be another one of those week 1 aberration games, but I don't know. I guess we're gonna wait and see and find out. I'm still high on the Colts. I'm still iffy about the Seahawks. I don't have them winning their division. As a matter of fact, I had them being the worst team in that division this year. But that's still a very good division. So being the worst team in that division means you're still better than half the league. So, it's not necessarily a bad thing. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this game. It's one of the ones that's really too tough to tell. Speaking of too tough to tell, and this is one I want to bring this up right here. Drew says, what about the Bengals? Who'da thunk? Well, Drew, if you listened to the Man Hour last week, if you listened to my predictions, I would have thought. I would have thunk. And not to mention, we have another show on another network that we talk to every once in a while. And their guy, who we bring on every once in a while, I'm just not sure how the rules work anymore with all these radio stations. I don't even know if I could say the name of the show anymore. But he had put out there that he picked the Vikings on the money line. I said, well, that's a dumb bet. I said I would have taken the Bengals by 3. And the Bengals won by 3. I called it. I thought Bengals were going to beat the Minnesota Vikings. At that point,
you would have pushed.
I don't think. How? I picked them by 3.
Right, but then that means they covered the line, but that's a push. They didn't beat the line.
Well, I'm saying that they were going to win outright. I would have bet the Bengals on the money line. He bet the Vikings on the money line. So that doesn't mean we believe you. Well, you should. Not only did I call them winning by 3, but if you remember back to Wednesday night when I was last on the show, I had said, watch this Thursday night football game. The Cowboys are for real. They're going to keep it tight. Take the points with the Cowboys. They're going to keep it close. They're going to actually take a lead late in the fourth quarter. And then Tom Brady is going to go ahead and have his engineering game-winning drive and win the game. I've called a lot of things this week. I said the Saints were going to beat the hell out of the Packers. Nobody believed that either. Everybody laughed at me at that. Oh, Jameis Winston is trash. Wait till Jameis Winston throws 10 interceptions. Well, he threw 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. And he has 2 less interceptions than Aaron Rodgers does this year. So bite me. Maybe you should start listening to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a spiteful Bears fan.
I have to be, man. I'm watching this game in the background. It's not pretty. Anyway, You should start listening to me. So I picked the Bengals. I had the Bengals winning this game. Actually, Buck also picked the Bengals winning this game. Did you see the Bengals winning this game, Tori?
I did not. I thought Minnesota's defense would actually show up and play, and they did.
So maybe
not.
it's Tori you shouldn't be listening to, Drew.
I only claim I give out good fantasy advice.
Good fantasy advice. I bet you would have told me to start Aaron Rodgers over Jameis Winston today. That would have been horrible fantasy advice.
No, I would have told you to start Alvin Kamara against the Packers defense. Actually, I probably would have told you to start Jameis because the Packers have always, for the last, 20 years, cannot stop a quarterback that is semi-mobile. They cannot stop one. For whatever reason, they can't do it. I probably would have told you to start Jameis just because they have so many problems. And again, a brand new defensive coordinator.
Let's be honest. You would have told me to start Jameis because you would have thought I would have lost and you were just trying to make me lose.
No, I will never, never give out bad advice like that intentionally. So,
all right. What about the game though? The Vikings losing to the Bengals.
The Bengals didn't bungle it. It's the best way to put it.
That's true.
They tried to bungle it, but they didn't. And that's progress.
That's true too.
That's what we call progress. Everybody that has been calling for Zach Taylor's head for the last 2 years is now, I think they're going to start seeing the fruition of it. They potentially have a top 3 wide receiver trio with T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase.
I like that prediction. I really like Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow really showed up today. And, granted, they allowed the Vikings to get back into this game. They were running the ball a lot more in the second half than they were passing the ball. But when it came down to crunch time, Joe Burrows was showing up. I mean, Joe Burrows did some good things. That pass that they hit to the tight end, that to me, that was more of a great, designed play than it was just because he hit a wide open target. But you need your guy to hit that target,
Yep.
And to me, I think that Joe Burrows is just showing more like he was last year before he got hurt, that he was worthy of the number 1 overall pick.
Hands down, yeah, he's going to develop. Again, they brought in one of his top receivers from college when he was at LSU, as Jamar Chase sat out. And the thing is this is where you can buy and sell a lot of preseason hype. Jamar Chase got dragged through the mud this preseason about, he's not developing. He doesn't have the chemistry like he did with Burrow, I don't know. It looked pretty freaking good to me today. And that's where I say, like, with the weapons they now have, we're going to be talking about the Bengals as probably one of the preeminent powers in that and that AFC and that AFC North. That AFC North is about to get real interesting in the next couple of years.
So real quick, turn around and look at your TV. Do you see what I see as the score?
Yes.
For some reason on NBC, it says that it's 31-29 Rams in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes to go. I don't know what's going on over at NBC. But for one, the Bears aren't going to put 29 points up at all with Andy Dalton at quarterback.
And if that's the case, we know that there's a glitch in the matrix and it's rigged.
Yeah. Man, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if at 10 minutes ago in the fourth quarter of this game, it's 31-29? Oh, there'll be a lot of talk if that happens.
Right.
There'll be a lot of chatter in Vegas for sure. All right.
But ironically, that was the Thursday night game. So same crew, probably, I'm guessing, and accidentally threw that score up there from Thursday night.
And I mean, look, Sunday Night Football can't get any worse than having Chris Collinsworth on the broadcast. So I'm all right with anything else that they do. They just, got to get that guy off there.
I miss the good old days of Summerall talking football and Madden just yelling, bam! And all they need to do to win this game is score more points than the other team.
Yeah.
They do that. If they do that, they got a really good shot at winning this game.
They needed a timeout there because they needed a rest. Oh, okay, cool.
Thanks.
All right. So we're going to take another break. And when we get back, we will get into some more of week 1 in the NFL. Stay with us. We will be right back. And we are back. Man Hour Nation, what's going on? It's your boy BC Brandon Combs alongside Tori Anderson. Tori, we've been talking all week one in the NFL. We've been trying to argue a little bit. We've been laughing a little bit. I'm watching my Bears losing 10-0 now. No surprise there. We both thought that they were going to get wiped before halftime. But let's get into some more week NFL 1 action, should we?
Let's do it.
All right. So the Philadelphia Eagles look good against the Atlanta Falcons. Are we sleeping on Philly being decent?
No, but I did pick them to go 0-17. So that
I picked the Falcons to go 0-17.
See, I had the Eagles. The Eagles showed up today. I don't know what the Falcons just continue to disappoint me. They're like I think I've made this reference before.
I thought this was their only chance to win a game this season.
The Falcons are like the father that say they're going to show up and never do.
Man,
like, I got you. I got you, buddy. I will come get you, and I'll take you, and we'll go play catch, buddy. And then they don't show up, and they just
never met my dad, right?
You've met me before.
Yeah, there's a lot of child support we need to talk about.
So I really want to be proud of the Atlanta Falcons and just can't be. Like,
no, they're a disappointment every single year. Ever since that big freaking meltdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They have not been the same. They have not recovered from it, and they're not going to. They needed to move on from Matty Ice, and they didn't. Instead, they moved on from Julio Jones. Stupid.
Well, that was a cap thing, though. They were going to have to move on. It was either trade him or they were going to have to cut him. And why not get something for him instead? Because of that cap number. He wasn't going to renegotiate. Why would you?
Yeah,
Like, nah, screw
but
you,
you
pay
needed
me.
to get rid of Matty Ice too, and you
I
needed
agree,
to go
but
out and
they,
get a quarterback and draft a quarterback. They didn't do it. They didn't
it,
even do anything in the draft. Like, what did they
but
do in
they
the
did.
draft?
They made a move,
For
and it
who?
was the man that's finally going to get his chance to showcase the NFL what he's got. Josh Rosen, baby. Be disappointed in all you want. And just like you think Jameis
Look,
is a
I'm
top 10 quarterback,
sorry.
I think Josh Rosen will eventually be developed into, when he gets in the right situation, will be a good quarterback. I don't think he'll be a top 10 quarterback, but he will be a good NFL quarterback.
I'm sorry, but you cannot say I want to be proud of the Atlanta Falcons, but I can't. They just keep disappointing me. And then say, but they did go ahead and get Josh Rosen. That's still disappointment. That's still sheer disappointment, Tori. There is no end in sight for Falcons fans. I feel bad for Falcons. No, I don't. Not one bit. I don't feel bad at all for Falcons fans. Anyway,
that would mean you have empathy. You don't have that.
Speaking of not having empathy, Buck, the Detroit Lions are going to be 11-6 this year and win the NFC North. They got absolutely destroyed by the San Francisco 49ers. Don't look at the score because the score is not indicative of what this game really was. I think it was something like 44-10 at halftime or something crazy. This San Francisco fell asleep a little bit in the second half because they were bored, because they had no competition. So they let Detroit kind of climb back into the game. Is San Francisco as good as I think that they are? I'm not going to say as good as you think they are because I don't know where you had them this year.
So literally that whole division, I had the Cardinals at 14-3. I had the Seahawks at 13-4, and I had the Niners and who's the other team in that division? Who am I forgetting?
The Rams, the Cardinals,
the Rams.
Yeah,
I had them. I had the Niners and the Rams going 12-5.
Yeah.
So the worst team in that division, I had at 12-5.
Yeah. See, I have the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams both at 15-2.
That it's the both West divisions are hands down the best divisions in football.
Yeah,
hands down.
I agree.
I as things are starting to shake out, the AFC East could come into play in the AFC. However, I don't know. I think San Francisco is every bit as good as we all think they are. They were. This is a team that they were down 9 defensive starters at one point last year. 9.
They had 50 plus injuries on the roster last year.
17 starters at one point were on IR.
In 2 years before that, they were in the Super Bowl, and people forget. People forget, and I think that the Niners are for real. I've got the Niners at 15-2. I got the Rams at 15-2, and I have the Cardinals in third place in this division at freaking 13-4. Like, and then I had the Seahawks. I had the Seahawks at 11-6. The worst record in the division is 11-6.
Yeah, and I got them at 12-5. Like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous the talent that's in that division.
Yeah, so I know that the Lions crept back in, but look, the Lions are just trash. I'm sorry, Buck, but the Lions are just they're garbage. And they showed it today, they proved it today. San Francisco went out and absolutely just torched them. In Detroit, nonetheless. This is a home game for the Lions. A West Coast team come to a 12 o'clock kickoff, usually doesn't bode very well for them. And they just took it to Detroit. Detroit is bad, and they're just going to continue to be bad. Sorry, Luke G, but it's the truth.
See, I'm gonna kindly disagree.
Yeah,
I think they should.
Damn mind.
And this is where I say it, because in the past these Lions teams would just lay down and they would have just rolled out till the clock wound down. This is a team that still kept playing. And that's when I was on Luke G's show, I said and this is coming from a Packer fan, I said, there's something different about this team. They actually hold their head up high. They don't just die. There's something different with this team, and they may not win a ton of games, but it's got to start somewhere, and it starts right there.
Yeah. And look, I
don't care if they played prevent defense the whole second half. They didn't roll over and just take it.
Right.
Because there's a big difference between your team rolling over and taking it, run out the clock to collect their paycheck, and going out there and fighting, even though you know you're probably going to lose. Because guess what? Even if I go down fighting and I still lose, I still fought.
Yeah. And speaking of fighting, as you know, we're going up against Sunday Night Football here. I think Andy Dalton we might see Justin Fields as the starter by the second quarter. He just fumbled again. This one I don't think was on him. This one's more on the offensive line. They didn't pick up a blitzer, came off the edge untouched and caused the fumble. But I mean, just no pocket presence whatsoever for Andy Dalton. It's so hard to watch as a Bear. It's just
because he's a ginger.
I hate you.
Moving on. You should get a big old Andy Dalton jersey. Be like Gingers Unite.
I'm going to unite my fist with your throat. That's what I'm going to unite.
Because I'm buying dinner.
All right. Perfect. All right. So Jacksonville and Houston played today. We talked about it a little bit. Your boy, Buck's boy, Tyrod Taylor, did a Deshaun Watson imitation and just absolutely rolled the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is Houston for real? Gotta answer this correctly.
No. I can't even answer. I can't even answer with a straight face. No, they're not going to be a very good team. This was each one of that team. That was their Super Bowl this week. Like when Illinois and Nebraska played, that was like each one of those teams' bowl game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this was a Super Bowl game for those two because it was a head coaching debut for two coaches. It was Trevor Lawrence's debut. It was Tyrod Taylor coming out and proving again, I am better than getting up my lung punctured. I am a good quarterback.
Next week, he's going to get his lung punctured and they're going to bring Deshaun Watson back. That's what's going to happen.
So little free fantasy advice, pick up Deshaun Watson if he is available in your leagues. So when Gus Edwards went down, I actually dropped him and I picked up Deshaun Watson because I bet he gets traded within the next 2 weeks.
I would agree. And it's going to be, I don't even think it's going to be on a bad team. I think it's going to be on a team that just doesn't believe in their starting quarterback, but has a chance of going to the playoffs. It's going to be a team like the Indianapolis Colts. It's going to be a team like, I'm trying to throw another one out.
I said my dark horse. My dark horse is the Minnesota Vikings going after him.
That's another one. The Minnesota Vikings. They could really use a playmaker at quarterback, and I don't care how much you believe in Kirk Cousins. He's just not that. He's just not a playmaker, and he hasn't been his entire career. So, I don't disagree. I just say I think for both of these teams, look, Trevor Lawrence. I've said Trevor Lawrence was going to be a bust from before the draft. Everybody laughed at me. No, Trevor Lawrence is. If you could build a prototype quarterback, you would build Trevor Lawrence. No, I would not. and he went out there and he looked like a rookie this year. I think he's going to be a good, solid starting NFL quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but he's still just that. I mean, he didn't get drafted to a good organization. He got drafted with a coach who looks like he's clueless in the NFL. So I don't like what he's got. And with the Houston Texans, look, Tyrod Taylor went out there, but wait till they go up against a team with an actual defense. And
right.
Let's see what he's got then, because it's just not.
For crying out loud, David Johnson looked like a serviceable running back today, and he hasn't been that since 2016.
Yeah, and look, it's week 1 of the NFL. We say it all the time. Crazy things happen in week 1 of the NFL. They just do. So we're gonna move on from that one. Next was the Chargers and the Washington football team. Is the Washington football team better off with Heineke?
I'm going to say yes because it's looking like Fitzpatrick has a pretty bad hip injury. So yes, they are better off with Heineke at this point because Fitzpatrick can't even walk hardly. So
hedged a bet there, huh?
Right. I mean, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy right there. Like, but to be fair, when we were doing the rundown, none of that had come out that he had a pretty serious hip injury yet. So that came out afterwards.
Yeah.
And so I think, they are. And like they signed him to what, a three-year extension in the offseason?
I believe so, yeah.
So
2 or 3.
If they think that he's got a chance, he's going to get to prove it.
Yeah.
So
he is.
I mean,
and they've got a really good defense in Washington. So they're going to be in a lot of games just by proxy of that really good defense. So
they have a really good offense that nobody's heard of. They have Tracy McLaurin. They have Logan Thomas. They have Antonio Gibson. They have a really underrated offense.
Yeah.
They have Curtis Samuel that they signed away from Carolina. So there is playmakers.
They've got
there.
McKissick too, don't they? Didn't they pick up McKissick?
McKissick's the backup running back to Gibson.
Yeah.
So this is a team that nobody knows about or is not going to talk about. That is a solid team.
Yeah. And I hope for Fitzpatrick's sake that it's, the hip injury isn't as bad as they think it is. I mean, they're talking about like a Tua type hip injury, aren't they?
Potentially, yeah. If that's the case, I mean, you're 17 years in the league, buddy. Just hanging up.
He's like 65 years old. There's no way he's coming back from this hip injury. If
they'll
it's
be calling him
say it is,
they'll be calling him Fitz hip replacement.
Yeah, yeah, they'll be calling him something. That's for sure. Oh, all right. So then we've got Arizona steamrolling Tennessee. I called another one that I called. I said Arizona was going to win this one. It wasn't even going to be close. Tennessee is not as good as everybody gives them credit for. Tennessee is going to have a down year. They aren't even going to compete for this division. This is Indianapolis's division to lose. So what's wrong with Tennessee?
Derrick Henry has a lot of miles on him at a very young age. No running back that's put up 2,000 yards has come back and had a really strong season the year after. I mean, it's a lot of wear and tear in your body. And I had called it months ago too and said, King Henry, everybody is high on him. I would be selling his stock right now because he is going to have a down year. I think Ryan Tannehill has been a great game manager quarterback for them. And I said the one key piece that they lost in this offseason was Corey Davis to the Jets. And I said, you're not going to realize how big of a loss that is until the season starts. And they looked exactly like the Tennessee team who I think they are going to be all year long today. They look like a team that's lost and it's going to struggle.
I traded King Henry in my fantasy dynasty league last week for a couple of young up-and-coming running backs and a draft pick, and people lost their minds. They're like, oh, this is such a lopsided trade. It's not a lopsided trade if you look at King Henry, how I look at King Henry. They utilize him so much that at some point, especially, I mean, he's headed into this is about his 7th year in the league now, right? This is year 7 for him?
Sixth or 7th, yeah.
Yeah, so at some point, all of them touches are going, like, in running back years, he's 65 right now.
Right.
Easily. And I don't think that King Henry is going to have quite the seasons that he's been having. Is he still going to rush for 12 or 1,300 yards? That's possible. But he's not going to be the King Henry that, and not only that, but then Tennessee's quarterback. Ryan Tannehill is not the guy that scares you. Ryan Tannehill is not the guy. This is another team that could really use Deshaun Watson. This is another team that would really highly benefit from a trade for Deshaun Watson. And I think that the Tennessee Titans are what they were today, and that is a team that's going to get pushed around by a lot of the better teams. They're going to win the games they should. They're going to beat up on those bad defenses in the in the AFC South, other than the Indianapolis Colts, but they're not going to win very many other games. So it's just, I don't know. Tennessee is what they are. Arizona is what I thought they were too. You know, like my boy, and God rest his soul, Denny Green once said, they are who we thought they were.
Yep.
And the Arizona Cardinals are exactly who I thought they were. They are a very good team. You look over there at oh God, now his name's gonna escape me. Trying to think
Kyler
of
Murray.
Kyler Murray. So you got Kyler Murray at quarterback. Kyler Murray goes and throws for 4 touchdowns today, has an outstanding day. He runs the ball well, he throws the ball well, he can see downfield. He is the real deal. And Kyler Murray is going to lead this team to a division crown. And they are going to be among the best in the NFC. This NFC West is a force, man. This is a force. And it's you know what makes me the worst is that 3 of these teams are going to have more wins than anybody else in the league, and 2 of them are going to go home after the first week because they have to play in the freaking wild card game.
Yep.
Like it's so like I don't understand. They really need to go to a different format when divisional opponents are wild card. There is no way that I should have an NFC East team who wins the division with maybe 9 or 10 wins hosting a playoff game versus a 14-5 or a 14-3 wild card team. It just shouldn't happen.
No, go to the so you would look more like an NBA type format, regardless of division. If you're the champion, it goes off your record for your seeding.
Yeah. And then Soup Boss comes in here and says, don't forget about that defense. Chandler Jones, 5 sacks alone, 4 turnovers. That guy's a beast, man. That guy is such a beast. And when they went out and got, as soon as they went out and got J.J. Watt, I said, this is the best defense in the league. And I said the Arizona Cardinals are the best team in the NFC West. And they are. This team is going to be so damn good this year.
And I'm going to talk about the thing that nobody's talking about is they established a really good running game.
Yeah.
You know who looked really good? James Conner, because guess what? He doesn't got to be the full-time back. Chase Edmonds and him are going to be a phenomenal 1-2 punch.
Yep.
James Conner ran hard. He ran through people. He did what he was doing in Pittsburgh, except Pittsburgh would hand it to him 25 times a game. And here he's only going to have to do it 12 times a game.
Yeah.
So,
so Chase Edmonds and a rookie running back who's not playing this year and a 3rd-round draft pick in my dynasty league is who I traded King Henry for. And I already had James Conner on my team because I wanted to pair those guys up because they are going to have big years. And the Arizona Cardinals, like I've said 100 times already, they are going to be a force.
100%. They, for me, there again, hindsight's always 20/20, but and it could be different by the end of the year. But week 1, almost in the books. Like they're the favorite to win the NFC at this point in time. They look like the most complete team out there right now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we will get into some more week 1 stuff. We are up against it right here. We're actually 8 minutes over our time, so we will be right back. We got to pay the bills. Give us 2 minutes.
What is your name?
What?
What is your name?
Buck.
Where did you get that shirt?
It's funny that you should ask that. Head over to manhourradio.com. You can pick up the shirt up. $15.
And we are back. That one always cracks me up, man. Buck on that video just absolutely kills me with the what is your name? Like, Buck, what were you trying to accomplish there? Like, you could have just said, and then he's like, you can pick up the shirt up. And the best thing about that whole commercial is River in the background. I absolutely love that kid, man. He cracks me up.
Mike-a-nese. We speak in Mike-a-nese around here.
Mike-a-nese. I like it. I like it.
Or Mike-a-nese or Buccaneese.
Yeah. Well, Buccaneese. I like that one.
Buccaneese.
Yeah. We speak Buccaneese.
Well, we speak Buccaneese, and he types in Mike-a-nese.
And that actually sounds like it could be a language. Buccaneese. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we've come to the time in the show that I've been looking forward to since the game ended. And that is the New Orleans Saints absolutely, positively beat down your Green Bay Packers. Jameis Winston throws for 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And Aaron Rodgers, as his offensive line looked horrible. He had a ton of dropped passes. And he threw for 2 picks himself, which is very un-Aaron Rodgers. Like, I don't know. You probably have to look back to find out a time. When was the last time he ever threw 2 interceptions in a game? And I would venture to say it has not been very many times in his career.
No, he did it. He did it once last year.
So, all right. So once last year. And everybody was coming at me about, Jameis Winston throws all these interceptions. Jameis Winston does this. I said, look, Alvin Kamara is going to go in and he's going to torch the Green Bay Packers. And he's going to allow that offense to open up. And not only that, but then you've got Jameis Winston scrambling around, throwing the ball to where he needs to throw it. Plus, you've got an offense and you've got an offensive guru at your head coach who is going to allow him to thrive. And that's what we saw today. Look, we could sit here and talk all day. And trust me, you know me. I would love to sit here and talk all day about how bad the Green Bay Packers were today. I really would. But the New Orleans Saints were really, really good today. The New Orleans Saints dominated every aspect of that game. And this is a Green Bay Packers team that was in the NFC Championship game last year. So, which, I mean, I guess they go every year because it's the annual game where somebody gets to beat the Green Bay Packers. But still, I digress. The Saints just dominated. I mean, every aspect of the game was dominated by the New Orleans Saints. Their defensive line was better than the Packers' offensive line. Their secondary was better than Aaron Rodgers and the wide receivers were today. Then you go look on offense. Their offense was just better than Green Bay's defense. I mean, they just totally wiped the floor with the Green Bay Packers. So that being said, what the hell happened to your Green Bay Packers?
They lost. They got waxed today. Like, it wasn't even a contest from the get-go. It wasn't even a contest. And I knew we were going to have problems with Kamara. Our run defense has always been terrible. For whatever reason, we can never stop the run. We could sell out. We could put 9 in the box and they'd still get 5 yards of carry. It's just that way. And there again, like I said, we have problems with mobile quarterbacks. We don't know how to spy on a quarterback that can move around. Like, there's not one linebacker that gets designated. We will just apparently send everybody out. Like, okay, just to show how unscared the New Orleans Saints were. It was 4th and 7. And they were like, we'll just go for it. And they got it. They picked up 12. I mean, it was a great call. And that's the other thing. Sean Payton crafted the perfect game plan. And I joke and say Jameis had a good game because they didn't let him throw it more than 10 yards, which they really didn't until towards the end of the game when he launched that one ball, and I can't remember what the receiver's name is. Sean Payton really forced Jameis to play within himself. Yeah. And make good, smart throws. They said it was the least amount of pass attempts to throw 5 touchdowns since 1948.
And there was a one point where I could have sworn he had at least 8 seconds to throw the ball. And he looked and looked and couldn't find anybody, and then he threw it away.
Yeah. He stood back there. He could have stood back there and had lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that Sean Payton is going to allow Jameis Winston to be the top 10 quarterback that I've said that he is for 2 years now. And I think that this is the perfect situation for Jameis Winston. I really do. And people laugh. People say, "Oh yeah, but the 30 interceptions, Okay, I get it. He had a bad year.
Peyton's not going to let him get in those situations. He's going to do what he did today. Yeah. And guess what? Guess what other quarterback did that for the last 15 years?
Drew Brees.
So it's he's not going to let Jameis force it down the field. He's just not going to do it when he doesn't need to. And there was literally no need to force it down the field whatsoever today. I will say, the one person that impressed me the most today, outside of Jameis, now give Jameis his credit where credit was due, because at one point he had, out of his last 4 completions, he had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But is the guy that you know quite well that had bounced around a little bit was Adam Troutman. Adam Troutman finally looked like the tight end that everybody kind of thought he was going to be. In that offense, he could potentially have a Jimmy Graham type year in that offense.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. I thought he looked really good today.
But is that because they're down so many receivers? They're down Michael Thomas. They're down Traquan Smith. Marquez Callaway was their number 1 receiver today. He had 1 catch.
Yeah,
just because he's on my fantasy bench.
His way, but he was getting double teamed a lot today, and so he didn't have a whole lot of looks. But between Kamara, between Troutman, and between Johnson,
Juwan Johnson looked really good. The one thing that bugs me on that for his first touchdown catch was Adrian Amos. Like it's like he almost just stood there and watched him catch it. Like he didn't try to deflect it or nothing. He's just like, wait, what? He caught that?
Drew says, hence why he only had 148 yards today. He did only have 148 yards today, but he had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, if you say
5 touchdown passes.
Didn't matter if he had 95 yards. Yeah. If he still got 5 touchdowns, you got 5 touchdowns. You're not going to lose a whole lot of ball games when you throw 5 touchdowns.
No, not at all. So I keep tooting my horn about the ones that I get right. Now it's time for me to take a little bit of a beat down about the ones that I get wrong. And the Cleveland Browns went into Kansas City. They almost made me look right. They almost made me look like a genius. And then Kansas City does what Kansas City always does. And they came back and they manhandled the Cleveland Browns. Should you ever feel safe if you have a lead on the Kansas City Browns or on the Kansas City Chiefs?
The Kansas City Browns?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if it's big enough.
Is there a lead that's big enough? This team seems to be able to come back from anything. It happened a couple years ago in the playoffs. I think they were down by at least 2 or 3 scores in every game that they played in that Super Bowl run, including the Super Bowl. They were down, and they came back. Every single one of them.
They were really down 10-0 in the Super Bowl.
That's still 10-0 in the Super Bowl. That's still, I mean, you're playing the best team from the other conference. That Tennessee defense was pretty damn good that year.
Well, that's the year they played the Niners when they won it.
Or the Niners, sorry.
Won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They played Tennessee in the title game, though.
Yeah, the Niners defense was pretty damn good that year. They're still pretty damn good. And they came back on them. Like that, this team, the Kansas City Chiefs, is just a team where you never feel like they're out of the game. Ever.
No, and it's a lot how you used to feel about the Packers until you go down 17-3 at halftime, and then you're like, yeah, no, you can just tell this offense is flat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the sad part is like the way that game started. Not to go back, that you can tell, you can always tell when an offense is just going to be flat. Like you could tell the rhythm's not there, and that's what the Kansas City offense looked like in the first half. It kind of looked flat.
Yeah, they did.
But they were scoring, but it wasn't like a clicking. And then it was like they went to halftime and they're like, maybe we should play now. Do you guys think should we just start playing now? Yeah, okay, we'll play the second half. And then also they just, we're just gonna score whenever we want.
Yeah. And God, as Drew says, then Baker barfed. That's exactly what happened. Baker barfed again. Baker did what I've said for the last couple of years that bugs me the most about Baker Mayfield is that when he looks really, really good and you trust him and you think he's going to get over that hump, he does something that brings you back down to earth. And that's what he did with that last play, with that last interception. Take the sack. Take the sack, get your team back to the line of scrimmage, and run another play. But he didn't. He tried making something happen. And look, I'm not going to discredit Baker. I'm still very high on the Browns this year. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, right? This is a team where I've heard a few experts say that they're going to go 17-0 this year. They don't see a loss on their schedule anywhere. So you can't really take a loss where they come back and beat you after you have them down too hard. And I really like the Cleveland Browns. I think they're going to do just fine this year. I just think that Kansas City is that damn freaking good. Yeah. And we have a co-host on this show that is never going to let us forget it. And that's what makes me mad the most is that I've got to sit here in my Bears gear all the time, watching my team get dismantled because, we finally drafted a quarterback, but we start the other one. And it's so maddening. So maddening. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. We had an AFC East showdown, and I do see our boy Soup Boss is in the chat. He says Baker was throwing it away and got hit. Combs, he wasn't trying to make a completion there. I don't think he was trying to throw it away. I think he was trying to make a completion, but he got hit as he was throwing the ball. Maybe he was trying to throw it away. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the play again. I don't know. I guess when it comes down to it, Soup, I'm just not confident that Baker was making the right decision there. and the right decision would have been to throw the ball away. So that's where we're at with that. And I know Soup Boss is a huge Patriots fan. And we had Tua versus Mac Jones today. One of those two quarterbacks was going to leave the game in first place, obviously, which is, and I've said it, what Bears fans can keep their head up about, even though we're down 13-0 right now in the second quarter. No matter what they do tonight, we're still in first place because everybody else in the division lost too. So
that means Bears fans have hope still.
Yeah.
Or Lions fans, I should say.
Yeah, I guess. Not 11-6 hopes though. So did you watch any of the Patriots-Dolphins game?
I did not because I was too busy wanting to throw things at my TV watching the Packers and Saints game.
Yeah. So this one was a game of a couple of tales. One was the turnovers for New England. They killed them. I think it was about 3 minutes left in the game and the running back fumbled in the red zone. That was a tough one. Then, the Dolphins trying to kill the clock is a 3rd and a long one. And they converted it and iced the game there. But the Dolphins, I said it last week, I think the Dolphins are a better team right now than the New England Patriots. I just do. I think that right now, not in the long run, because I like Mac Jones a lot more than I like Tua. I think that right now Miami is the better team. And I don't know if that will be all season long. I don't know if that will change halfway through the season because it's Bill Belichick and it's the New England Patriots, and it's just kind of what they do. Yeah. But I thought that the Dolphins were better. But I was impressed by the New England Patriots and the way they were able to contain the Miami Dolphins, the way they were able to stay with them and make this a game, because I thought this was going to be at least a 10-point game for Miami. And they hung in there. Mac Jones looked solid. So what's your takeaway?
I can't yell Mac is trash like I do with Zach is trash. So I'll say Mac is whack.
Mac is whack.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll let you decide for that one. So I really want to cheer against Mac Jones. 1, I hate Alabama. 2, I hate the Patriots. So
yeah.
It's like, yeah, but I can't. The guy's just one of those people you can't really hate or cheer against. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, buddy, if you have a good career, you have a good career. Good on you. But right now, I would say the Dolphins are probably the second best team in that division. They just have more weapons right now when it comes to the offense. They have an established receiving core. They have a pretty good tight end in Mike Gesicki. Not that New England doesn't have good tight ends. They do. They have a little bit more experience at the quarterback position than where Tua had been under fire a little bit last year and has that live game experience that Mac Jones does not have. They got Myles Gaskin. Yeah. I think they're a little bit more solid in their running back, as in that they know who's going to be their ball carrier every week. Right. However, Bill Belichick is also the master of being able to figure out which running back he needs to start and with literally every single week.
With the exception of adding Hunter Henry, I mean, they really went bargain shopping for their weapons. I mean, you look at Jonnu Smith, you look at the wide receiver there used to play for Atlanta. I can't think. Nelson or Philadelphia. Nelson Aguilar. You know, they've got a lot of bargain basement weapons, but that's kind of what New England's been built on. I mean, name me another organization where Wes Welker would have been a number one wide receiver. Name me another organization where Deion Branch succeeds. Name me another organization where half of these wide receivers, the only really solid wide receiver, and I'm talking about solid Pro Bowl wide receiver they've ever had, was Randy Moss. And when they had Randy Moss, they went undefeated until they got to the Super Bowl. So that's all you need to know about the New England Patriots and what they do. And as much as I'm tooting their horn right now, trust me, I cannot stand the New England Patriots. I cannot stand the New England Patriots fan base. So I'm definitely not a Pats fan, but they just are what they are. And I think that in the long run, I think they may, even though I picked Miami to have a better season than the New England Patriots, I think I might have been wrong. I think in the long run, I think the Patriots are going to end up with a better season than the Miami Dolphins, which doesn't really matter because they still got the Buffalo Bills in their division. Right.
But they got a 1-game lead on them right now with 16 to go.
That's true. It's true. The Dolphins are a game up. Everybody else in the AFC East lost today. So the Dolphins are the big winner. They are in first place. So we are up against another break. When we come back, we will get into what do you want to do? You want to do some more NFL or do you want to do way or no way? Let's do more NFL.
Let's do more NFL. We didn't get into the boring games yet.
Yeah. There were a couple of them. Liz here in the chat, she's a big Broncos fan. She says I'll be wearing Broncos gear after week 7 because we made a side bet that the Browns will beat the Broncos, which I wholeheartedly 100% believe will happen. If that happens, then she has to wear Bears gear. If it does not happen, I have to wear Broncos gear to work. So
what size Bears gear do you wear, Liz?
I agree. I think that's a foregone conclusion, but I guess we'll see once we get there. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get into some more NFL. We will be right back. we are back. I got to touch on this comment that came through during the break. Facebook user, if you want to click on the Streamlabs link up above and allow them to use your Facebook profile, can actually know who this is talking this. It says, come on, Combs, don't hate. Mac played well and he'll get better, but the defense penalties didn't help. Long season and the Pats finished 10-7 or 11-6. If you actually listened, Facebook user, I actually said I was wrong about the New England Patriots, and I think that they are going to have a better season than the Miami Dolphins, which would put them at about 10-7 or 11-6. That's I was wrong after watching today, and what I saw today, I believe I was wrong. I believe they're going to correct the things that went wrong. Bill Belichick doesn't tolerate guys who fumble the ball, so that's not going to happen a whole lot with their running backs. They are going to have a decent season. I really like Mac Jones. I'm very high on Mac Jones. I just don't like the Patriots, and I don't like their fans. So, yeah, but they are. They're going to have a better season than I thought. And Soup Boss comes to my rescue and says, if you know Combs, he wasn't hating my Pats there. It's true. I definitely was not. Look, God, it's not even so much the Patriots. I don't mind the Patriots organization so much. I love Tom Brady. I've loved watching him play and what he's accomplished. The Patriots fan base is just so goddamn annoying. They are just brutal to be around all the time.
Don't they play the Bucs in like a week or two?
I will have to look on that. I believe they do. Yeah, they do. Actually, it's in New England. It's Brady's. I think it's week 4.
Because this is what we'll be doing.
You're stupid.
It'll be the return of the Mac, baby.
Yeah, look, you've got it's week 4. It's actually a Sunday night football game where you've got Mac Jones versus Tom Brady. Tom Brady's first game back in New England. Somebody, I think it was Buck, who asked me last week. He's like, "Do you think that the Patriots fans will boo Tom Brady?" And I said, if that happens, I'll lose. The little tiny bit of respect I have for all Pats fans right now would just fade away. It would be like, if you want to boo him during the game, that I get, because at that point you're at war. It's kind of like, this is what I said last week. It's like a UFC fight. The fighters who respect one another come out and they touch gloves, and then they start beating the crap out of each other. So if you want to boo him during the game, I'm fine. But before the game, if he doesn't get a standing ovation, I'm going to lose my crap, because what he has meant to the New England Patriots, nobody even knew New England had a football team prior to Tom Brady taking over as their quarterback.
Thank you. That is the one thing that pisses me off.
New England
fans.
Know. Yes,
that is what nobody was a Patriots fan prior to 2000 when Tom Brady showed up there. Nobody was a Patriots fan when Drew Bledsoe was leading them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they sure as hell weren't a fan when it was Steve Grogan.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this. I do know Soup Boss. Soup Boss can tell you every quarterback's name in the Patriots organization for as long as he's one of the very few true fans out there. However, there's just not, and most of them aren't even old enough to know when before Tom Brady was the quarterback anyway. So I don't even I hate Patriots fans. I just hate it. I just don't like them. That's all I'm saying.
That's the one thing. Like, I was a Packer fan in the 70s and the 80s when we were awful. We were terrible. We knew every year. We were Lions fans. We knew every year we were going to suck. There was no hope. Yep. There was no hope ever. Yeah, it's like, we're going to be terrible.
Speaking of hope, the Bears put a touchdown on the board. It's 13-7 at halftime.
That's bad. That's bad for my fantasy football defense.
Are we hopeful?
No,
we're not hopeful. We're
it's called false optimism.
We're gonna lose 42-7. That's gonna be the final score.
Did you hear the chants?
I did not.
They were chanting, "We want Fields already."
Were they really? That's amazing, especially since they're in LA. That's even more amazing.
Right.
That's awesome. But we had another football game And I know one of the people listening right now really wants us to talk about it. It was the Denver Broncos against the New York Giants. Not much to talk about here. I mean, it was really a snooze fest for the first half, and then Denver opened it up, scored a few points.
It was awful the first half.
The big news here out of this game, and the thing that we can touch on and that we can talk of, and that some people might want to listen to about this game, because who cares about the Broncos or the Giants, is Jerry Jeudy's sprained ankle. Man, was he lucky that it's only a sprained ankle. That looked freaking nasty. Like, yeah, that looked like how Dak Prescott ended his season last year.
Yes.
It looked a lot like that. And the fact that he only got a sprained ankle out of it, he's lucky. He's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. So I just don't, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the Broncos and the Giants are just destined for 5-12 seasons, and nobody's going to care about them after this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
The sad part is he got hurt. Jerry Jeudy got hurt and was still their leading receiver. The thing is, Bridgewater actually looked decent. 28 of 36, 264, 2 touchdowns. Not a terrible stat line. The one that surprises me with them, and I said, if they want to be successful this year, they need to have him have a bounce back season, and that is Melvin Gordon. 11 carries, 101 yards, and a touchdown. He had a 9.2 yard rushing average. This is a Giants defense that was a top 10 defense and did not give up a ton of rushing yards last year. Like, and that's why I thought that this game benefited the Giants. I'm like, they've got a lot of weapons. Daniel Jones is going to take that step forward this year. And Daniel Jones essentially had a slightly better day than Zach Wilson.
Yeah. And Ryan James Chafee comes in here as we talk about Pats fans. Mac Jones to Brady before the game in week 4. Mac to Brady, probably. Nice to meet you, Tom. You are great, but you are the past. I'm the future, and I'm going to kick your ass. Probably not how that conversation's going to go.
Probably not.
And anytime anybody tells Tom Brady that they're going to kick his ass, he ends up going berserk and throwing for like 6 touchdowns and 400 yards and just makes them look silly. So I kind of hope he does say that so that Tom Brady can just continue to shine on my fantasy team. Brady and Gronk and Mari Cooper this week. I mean, I probably could have just started them 3 and won my fantasy. It was 107 points after Thursday. It was freaking ridiculous, but I loved every second of it.
So anytime the Cowboys lose, I'm going to love every second of it. Even if it is Brady and the Buccaneers. Don't care.
So we've got one game left to talk about. One game left. And it's the Monday night game tomorrow night. It is the Oakland, or I'm sorry.
Not Oakland.
The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Baltimore Ravens. Do the Raiders have a chance?
No. They're going to be listening to the DJ that's in whatever end zone and be like, they're going to get their asses kicked. Lamar Jackson is going to have a field day with them tomorrow.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how loud that stadium is, though. It's going to be nice to see Vegas with fans in it for the first time. It's going to be interesting to see how loud it is. But that's going to be about as much excitement as the Raiders are going to have, because the Baltimore Ravens are just heads and tails better than the Las Vegas Raiders. They just are. And, we talked earlier about teams, and we keep saying every time I hear when I bring it up, there's another team that could really use Deshaun Watson, the Las Vegas Raiders. It would be a good trade for them. And the Raiders are they're so bad. But their fans, they just keep showing up. The fans just keep filling the stadium and showing up week after week. And they're hot garbage. Yeah, Gruden is hot garbage. He's great in the booth. He's money in the booth. He is horrible on the sidelines. Horrible.
I couldn't stand listening to him in the booth. I'm kind of glad he's on the sideline so I don't got to listen to him all the time now.
Yeah,
But Mike Mayock went from a sideline commentator that can talk out of his own butt to a GM. Like, seriously?
Yeah. So I think we're both in agreement that the Baltimore Ravens are going to walk away with this game. Supos chimes in and says Watson won't add a ton more value than Carr.
That's negative.
Yeah, I think he adds a lot more value than Carr.
Got to run around.
Trust me, I'm with Supos on his premise there. I think that we talked about a very underrated quarterback in LA. But I'm very high on Derek Carr. Like, I think if Derek Carr went to an organization that had the pieces just like Matt Stafford, I really think that Derek Carr could be a better quarterback than what he's been with the Las Vegas Raiders. I really do. I think that he's capable of being a winning quarterback.
Does Houston really want to be responsible for destroying both the Carr brothers' careers?
It's true.
Derek's like, no.
Although Derek's way more talented than David. I mean,
I disagree. Like, Derek literally got his head caved in. Or David got his head caved in, and he was sacked 89 times in 1 year.
I know.
89 times.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. That is going to rattle your confidence. I think the next year it was like 68, and then the year after that it was like 78. It was ridiculous how many times he got sacked.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. And then Supos chimes back in. Let me pull this up here. Did we just forget Watson's last year in Houston? What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Last year in Houston.
Watson.
Supos, you're going to drive me to yell at you right now, and you're not even on the show. He had a 70% completion percentage. He threw for nearly 5,000 yards and 30-plus touchdowns and 7 interceptions and had a 112.4 quarterback rating on a 3-13 team. What are you talking about forgetting Watson's last year in Houston? What are you talking about? Come on, Supos, you're better than that. Come on. Oh,
come on.
This is what this guy does to me. This is what I can't wait till he decides that he wants to come on the show, because we are going to have a good freaking time. We yell at each other a lot.
So
he says, right, 3 wins. Yes, that was all on him and his 5,000 yards and 30-plus touchdowns and less than 10 interceptions. That was totally Deshaun Watson's fault, right?
Defense that couldn't stop a wet noodle.
Oh, come on, Soup. Come on. That was a reach. You failed at that one. Usually you're pretty good. Usually your reaches, I'll give you. That one was a bad one. I agree, Soup. Carr is a damn good quarterback. I agree. But he's not Deshaun Watson. He's not.
Deshaun Watson's a legit top 5 quarterback in the league. Derek Carr is not.
Yes.
I agree. There's a much more of a needle movement having Deshaun Watson. Even John Gruden can't screw him up enough to make him not a top 5 quarterback. Because Jesus Christ, he had Bill O'Brien for a head coach, for God's sakes.
Yes, 100%. Soup, usually I'm with you. Usually you can make me look silly. That was my chance to make you look silly, because that was a bad take. That was just a bad take. I'm sorry, but it was. We're going to get into some shop talk here in just a few minutes. We will be right back. Light up that chat. Let us know what you want to talk about. We are here. We'll be right back. And we are back. Supa still coming back in the chat. It is time for Shop Talk. Shop Talk is always brought to you by ThriveFantasy.com. Get on to ThriveFantasy.com and use promo code ManHour. They will match your first deposit up to $50. Supa says it wasn't Watson. Watson doesn't make the Raiders exceptionally better than Carr. Maybe a win or two. It's not the quarterback play that's the issue. Think and use your head. Well, I've got a quarterback in Deshaun Watson who's never had a quarterback rating under 98. And I've got a quarterback in Derek Carr who's only had a quarterback rating higher than 93 twice in his career. I've got a guy in Deshaun Watson who went out last year with virtually no weapons after they traded away his best weapons in DeAndre Hopkins. And if you put him on a team with the weapons that they have in Las Vegas, I completely disagree with you. I think it's a completely different team. As a matter of fact, I might pick Las Vegas to go to the playoffs if they have Deshaun Watson on their team. I'm not doing that with Derek Carr. So I think we just agree to disagree. And then he says, if I make a cake and one ingredient is garbage, does replacing a good ingredient with one a little better, but not replacing the crap ingredient help the recipe? Hell no. It's not the same, Soup. It's just not. It's like I don't know. You keep saying that it's logic and we need to think. I think you need to think about this one. If you're telling me that Deshaun Watson doesn't make the Raiders infinitely better than Derek Carr, I think that you're missing the boat on that one. I really do. And he says, I put Las Vegas in the wild card too. Doesn't mean you fix the issue there with replacing Carr. If they go to the playoffs, you're absolutely fixing the issue. They're not a playoff team with Derek Carr. What do you mean you're not fixing the issue? You're absolutely you just answered your own question, Soup. Oh. Says so Carr for Watson completely fixes everything in Las Vegas. No, they still got a joke as a head coach, but they're a much better football team. They are a much better football team with Deshaun Watson as their head.
As I stated, Deshaun Watson succeeded under Bill O'Brien, for God's sakes. And Bill O'Brien couldn't coach his way out of a wet paper bag.
And she says, whoa, this Snoop guy. No, Soup. No, he's not Snoop D-O-double-G. He is the Soup, S-O-U-P. Soup boss. Oh, wow. So we're trying to ignore the rest of things and then go for a wild card. What other things, though, Soup? What are you talking? They've got Henry Ruggs. They've got good running backs.
They got Hunter Renfrow. They've got good running backs, yeah.
They've got a decent offensive line.
They've got Darren Waller. They have weapons on that offense. They need a quarterback that can use them to their full potential.
They've got a decent offensive line, and they've got a okay defense. The defense, I think, is the biggest issue there. But when you're scoring 35 to 40 points a game, it takes pressure off of your defense. But when you've got Derek Carr in there and they can only put up 20 points a game, it puts more pressure on your defense. Says, like Campbell's Soup? Does he have his own company? Commercial? No, he does not, but he does have his own Facebook page, and I will give him a shout out for that. Check out Sports Soup. He is my former co-host of Triple Shot Sports. He is the Soup boss, Chad Lounder. He is amazing. I love him. We yell at each other a lot. They have a okay defense. That was you trying to back up your point. They do. They have an okay defense. Like it's not stellar.
They're back alluding to how brilliant the Raiders franchise. We're going to trade Khalil Mack, and then we're going to call the Bears to see if we can trade back for him this year.
And I did back up my point, Soup. I said that by having a team that can score 35 to 40 points a game, that takes pressure off of your defense. They don't have to be as good as they have to be with Derek Carr as their quarterback. It's just it's a different dynamic. It changes things around. I get what you're saying. I really do. I think they are about the same. I think that Derek Carr can be at that Deshaun Watson level if he's under the right organization. Las Vegas just isn't. And I think that's the difference between him and Deshaun Watson. It's Deshaun Watson instantly goes to any other organization and makes them a playoff contender. I don't care which team you put him on. I think they're a playoff contender. You can put him on the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, so I was wrong.
Yeah,
There's a couple teams.
No.
So, look, Drew chimes in, no soup for you. There's probably not going to be any soup for me.
I was going to say he may be the soup boss, but that take was a soup sandwich.
It wasn't very good. He's going to keep coming because he's not going to let this one go. He's going to yell at me the first time he comes on the show about it. I can guarantee you that, which I hope is going to be this week. But we'll find out. So it's Shop Talk. Let us know what you guys want to talk about. Eugene Bryan says no Snoop for you. Oh God. So baseball, we talked a ton of football. I want to talk baseball with you real quick. We talked about this last week. You weren't on the show. The Hall of Fame game came in, and I'm sorry, not the Hall of Fame game, the Hall of Fame ceremony. Yep. They put it on a Wednesday in September. Okay. The Wednesday prior to there being the 20th anniversary of September 11th. And they had the New York Yankees versus the New York Mets that weekend. They just completely missed the boat again because you're putting Derek Jeter into the Hall of Fame, right?
Who's he?
You're putting Derek Jeter, the greatest Yankee probably of all time. Like, I guess I wouldn't say greatest Yankee, but I guess the
of our generation.
Greatest
Yankee of our generation.
Yeah, I mean, let's just face it. The Yankees have been just full of freaking great Hall of Fame baseball players their entire existence.
I can't really put him ahead of like Mantle or DiMaggio or
no, I don't put him ahead of them either. I guess maybe as a captain, as a leader, because I've always said that if I need one person to lead my team, I'm gonna pick Derek Jeter. But at any rate, we're getting off track here.
If I need Valtrex, I'll call Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're putting Derek Jeter into the Hall of Fame. You've got September 11th is 3 days away. And you're doing this whole tribute, and you've got the Yankees versus the Mets, and you've got this opportunity. And again, it's a marketing nightmare. It's another failure again because you miss the boat and you don't do the things that you need to do. So how great would it have been to have a 10 a.m. ceremony, go through the day, finish off you've got the game starting at usually 1:00. And then getting into the night game where it's the Yankees and the Mets in your September 11th tribute. And Derek Jeter throws out the first pitch.
Right. So I want to address it quick. Do you want to tell these people that are like, what's a soup sandwich? Do you want to tell them what that means?
No.
Did you ever use that in the Marine Corps?
Yes.
That's a staple for the Army for us to use.
Yeah. I think most people know what a soup sandwich is. Somebody saying they don't know what a soup sandwich?
Yeah, Soup did.
No, he was questioning why it was a soup sandwich.
It was ate up.
I agree. But anyway, why does baseball continue to miss the boat?
Because they're baseball, and Rob Manfred's still the commissioner. The one thing I could say, as much as I hated Selig, and trust me, I hated Selig long before everybody else in baseball did because he was the owner of the Brewers at the time. And I hated him then. And he would have at least been like, he would have had the foresight to do something like that. He'd have been like, okay, yeah, this is what we need to do.
Right.
And as far as the rest with Manfred just, he has no foresight, none. He looks at what's in front of him and says, okay, that's it. Like there's I don't
worst
get
commissioner in all of sports
ever. I think I would put him behind or ahead of A. Bartlett Giamatti.
Yeah, I don't like this. I can't stand it. I think that baseball needs a complete overhaul. They need to change what they're doing. They've needed it for a long time, but they continue to do the same things. And it's maddening. It's maddening for people who actually love the sport. I mean, we had a really good weekend of baseball. You had the White Sox and Red Sox were just going toe to toe two of the best teams in the American League were just going toe to toe. You had the Yankees and the Mets were going battling back and forth. As a matter of fact, they're playing tonight on Sunday Night Baseball, and you just like you continue to just miss the boat. I mean, you're talking about a weekend that you could have done something on NFL's opening weekend and maybe done something better than what they did.
Right.
Maybe taking some of the spotlight and put it onto your sport and take it away from them, even though the Sunday would have still been all about football, but people might have been talking more about baseball on Saturday, and they weren't.
Right. And the thing is for me, it's a little baseball should take it like the September 11th. They were the first ones to come back and start playing again.
Yeah.
Like, and they all had like the FDNY, the NYPD, like, you know,
and they wore the hats again on Saturday.
Right. So like for me, this is something that they should have been incorporating more as a staple, much like Jackie Robinson Day.
Yeah.
Should be kind of ingrained a little bit more into it. Because like you said, they missed the boat every single year. They get, okay, well, we sold $3 million in, you know, police department and fire department hats for New York, you know, this weekend.
Yeah.
That's about it. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't like the way baseball handles it. Baseball needs a complete marketing overhaul. This is why they have fallen behind football as the American pastime.
So really they need to hire Torrey and Combs and allow us to bring baseball to prominence.
Again, back to where it belongs. I would venture to say basketball is getting close to passing up baseball.
Yeah.
Because of the way they market themselves and they put themselves to every demographic. Yeah. So they will go out of their way to market themselves to demographics they're not in. And baseball is just kind of like, well, we've been doing this for years. We're good where we're at. Yeah, that's how you start losing.
Yeah. And didn't your boys threw a no-hitter over the weekend too?
They did. I was a little upset that they pulled Burns and didn't let him go, but he was at like 113 pitches or whatever after 8 innings. So I get
that wouldn't have mattered back in the 90s.
No, in the 90s, no. Your arm would just fell off. Yeah, like your arm fell off. Use your left hand.
Yeah,
you know. But you know, it is what it is. It's second no-hitter in Brewers history. I just wish they would have let Corbin finish off, especially because I had him starting for fantasy baseball.
Yeah. All right. So we're up against it here. We've got to get going. Man Hour Nation, you guys have been great. Drew, Supos, Liz, Eugene, Javier, as always. You guys have been great tonight. Thanks for blowing up the chat. We appreciate it. We will see you guys tomorrow night. Man Hour Nation, rise up.